Hello, BookTube. I've got a weekend mail haul for you here. I'm feeling a little bit on the ragged side, so I'm kind of glad it's only 2 packages. It's a package in a box, so it won't take us long to do. But I didn't want to open it without you. That just doesn't seem right. Plus, I miss seeing your faces, except for that Wilson character. That's a face perfect for radio. So let's see. I'm not going to say this first one is fighting me because it's not. It could be a Hallmark card and it would still be hard for me to open. But this is, the package tells me that it's from Pegasus Books, so, and they're great. So let's see what this is. Oh, fantastic. I think we already saw this. I think this might be a double. This is Between Two Kings, the new Lawrence Ellsworth translation in his ongoing project to translate Alexander Dumas for Pegasus Books. It's, as far as I'm concerned, the jewel of their publishing line. These are amazing works, and they are really well put together. The books have, all of them have in one way or another illustrations as well, and these are thoughtfully done new translations of all of this stuff, including works that have been unfairly mushed together or inaccurately broken up. It's just a renovation in translation of Dumas's work. Just delightful. I think this is a double. If it is, then one of you might want it. But this, let's see, this has a pub sheet. More and more books have pub sheets. As more and more people go to their jobs again. This comes out on July the 6th. For years, D'Artagnan shared his adventures with his 3 comrades, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, but now, in Between Two Kings, the first musketeer returns to the forefront. This is truly D'Artagnan's novel, bringing to a dramatic climax the story that began when he first arrived in Paris 30 years earlier in The Three Musketeers. And this copy, your hardcover copy, has an Open Letters review blurb on the back, which is very nice, but in this instance it's not me. The Christian Science Monitor review blurb is me. So you've got a double-barreled Steve-related blurbs on the back of the hardcover, which is always thrilling. The Christian Science Monitor blurb, of course, would be a slight bit more thrilling if they'd sprung for those 2 essential words, my name. But they did not, and that's okay. I wouldn't want us to think that we're raving eomaniacs here. Hi, Bean. She doesn't have a sheet draped over her for dramatic reasons. She's plenty diva enough as it is. I put a sheet over that window when the sun is in that quarter so that it won't just blast into the room. I figured I'd get into the habit of doing it before the real heat of summer starts. I got a brief last week. I got a brief taste, a brief reminder of what the real heat of summer is like, and in this is a new old location for Hyde Cottage. This is not quite the Hyde Cottage of 4 years ago, and the change was made in the winter, so I didn't know until last week what the summer was like here. It is a warmer apartment. This is a warmer space, and it's not fair for me to sing the praises of that fact all winter long, when all of a sudden, all winter long, I could be in my little corner between 2 windows, in other words, the draftiest spot in the place, and not be cold, when I could set the temperature 60 degrees Fahrenheit on the thermometer and just leave it that way. Never need to worry about putting it up or down, when I could dispense with space heaters. Those plastic column electric space heaters that were the means of my survival through the winter in the old Hyde Cottage. The new Hyde Cottage, I didn't need them at all. I never took one out of storage. And I can't very well benefit from all of that all winter long and then complain if the place is commensurately warmer in the summer. And I had no taste of that until last week. Last week, Boston, the Northeast, had a heat wave in early June. A bit of a rarity. I was up in Vermont. Frida and I were up in Vermont for part of it. But Vermont is always cooler. There's always, even if it gets hot during the day, Vermont is just a cooler place. And we came back at the tail end of it. So we had one day where it was 98 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature, not the super sexy boy band, And I got a sense of what this place was like. And it was true even in the old place that when in the heat of summer, when the sun is setting and blasting right through that window, you really do want a covering on the window. It's not just for sexy booktube lighting. It really does help. But anyway, what have we got here? What is this next one? This next one comes to us from Oxford University Press, and it is Future War and the Defense of Europe by John Allen, F. Ben Hodges, and Julian Lindley French. Fantastic cover. Just fantastic. So is this all about new technology and warfare? It's nonfiction. Set against the backdrop of the COVID-19 crisis, Future War and the Defense of Europe considers how peace can be maintained on a continent that has suffered 2 cataclysmic conflicts since 1914. I can tell you one quick method that peace can be maintained on that continent. I can just shoot one from the hip, born of being a passionate student of history for all of my 28 years. The way you avoid a 3rd cataclysmic conflict on the continent is very simple. Don't anger the Germans. We like it much better when they are being interesting and funny and teaching us everything if you get them angry. So don't do that. COVID-19 and the trend accelerating impact of all such pandemics is first considered. The book then weaves history, strategy, policy, and technology into a compelling analytical narrative that sets the scale of the challenge Europeans and their allies will face if Europe's peace is to be upheld in a transformative century. The book challenges foundational assumptions about how Europe's defense is organized, the role of a fast-changing transatlantic relationship, NATO, the EU, and their constituent nation-states. That's a euphemism. It's not fast-changing. It's Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump who struck at the heart of the international alliances that form the basis of NATO. It isn't fast-changing like we're trying to balance on a raft in a river. It was one racist, sexist, fascist, lying moron. One person. Those foundations are not threatened at the moment. Anyway, at the heart of the book is a radical vision of a technology-enabling future European defense built around a new kind of Atlantic alliance, an innovative strategic public-private partnership, and the future hyper-electronic European force it must spawn. Europeans should be under no illusion. Unless they do far more for their own defense and very differently, all that Europeans now take for granted could be lost in a maze of hybrid war, cyber war, and the hyper war they must face. Okay, all right. Let's find out about the author before the authors. John Allen currently serves as the 8th president of the Brookings Institution. He's retired U.S. Marine Corps 4-star general and former commander of the NATO and International Security Assistance Force and the U.S. forces in Afghanistan. F. Ben Hodges is the Pershing Chair of Strategic Studies at the Center for European Policy Analysis, and he was previously Commanding General of the United States Army Europe from 2014 to 2017. And Julian Lindley French is a senior fellow at the Institute for Statecraft. He's also the founder and chair of the Alphen Group, a high-level strategic do tank. Sounds festive. Perhaps the Queen is in town. Not a think tank, a do tank. He is a leading advisor, strategist, and author, and has held 3 professorial chairs. Okay, so naturally the guy named Julian Lindley French is not the soldier of the group. Well, I'm gonna have to give this a try. I don't have a pub sheet, so I don't know when this comes out. It's a finished copy, and Oxford's usually good about that. So they're very good about their advanced copies. I usually get their advanced copies months ahead of time. I often get their finished copies after the book is out in stores. But I'll be very curious to know, the one thing that's missing from that dust jacket description is who the enemy is. I'll be very curious to know that. I have a feeling that these authors are just reflexively assuming that the enemy is Russia. Which would be a little strange. It is a late-stage autocracy, so it is tottering. It has a threadbare economy because it's all in service of one man and his cronies. And it has, what, 1/10, maybe 1/15 the economic power of the EU? I should email David Murphy about this. I have a feeling that unless the authors are talking about something else, unless they're talking about stateless actors in cyberspace, or maybe the Islamic world, which is bloody well what they ought to be talking about, but I bet they're talking about Russia. And if they're talking about Russia, then what was that word? Hyperwar. I don't think would be nearly as effective as simply a check. Write them a check. Get them to go away. Russia is in desperate need of money. Just write them a check and hold them accountable. Make them dependent on your money, and you'll have no more problems from them. But maybe I'm being simplistic, or even worse, imperialistic. So I will give the book a read, and we shall see. So that was our mail haul. One great fiction and one nonfiction that certainly has interest. The one thing that's missing here from this book about future war is who it's going to be waged against. Maybe that's not a simple answer anymore. But we have Future War, very attractive Oxford paper, hardcover, very nice. We have Between Two Kings, Dumas' D'Artagnan novel that maybe not a lot of people know. Fantastic that Pegasus is doing that whole thing, just fantastic. And let's hope they branch out. Let's hope that Lawrence Ellsworth is interested in translating a lot of Dumas, not just the Musketeer books. It looks like he is, because the first of these, if I remember correctly, for Pegasus, was a non-Musketeers book. I'm hoping that he's willing to do that for a lot, including The Man in the Iron Mask. That would be terrific. But in the meantime, that's your mail haul for today, with a very dramatic bean, all draped in drapery. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.